One of the strangest things about this campaign is the lack of in-person campaigning by the candidates. And while people can make up their minds how to vote without actually seeing the candidates in person, one of the places where things really could get complicated has to do with mobilization and turnout. So, one of the things that Democrats and Republicans are facing is the prospect of mobilizing their voters without actually knocking on doors, without having face to face conversations. In order to compensate for this, both sides are trying to move to an online posture, especially Democrats are very heavily investing in online turnout operations where they try to reach people indirectly. But the big question is, how is that going to play out in November? One of the most unsettling things about this election cycle is the prospect that a large portion of the country will not accept the results, regardless of what the results are. And there's a lot of concern with President Trump going around the country delegitimizing the election in advance, that if in fact he does lose, there could be some resistance on the part of his supporters about accepting the outcome. I think that it's unknown at this point how bad things could get if, in fact, a large section of the population decides not to accept what happens in November. But I do think that, in part, one of the things that we should look at is the size of the victory. If it is, in fact, a Biden victory and he wins by quite a bit, I think at that point it becomes much harder for the president to delegitimize the outcome. But that said, because so much is on the line and because this is such a zero-sum election for so many people on both sides who feel that regardless of what happens, the outcome of this election could change the shape of the country that they've known their whole lives. When you have that on the line, it becomes very difficult to allow people to come together afterwards and embrace what happens. So that's really the most unsettling thing, the most disturbing thing about this election. And it's because we happen to be living at a moment where so much is at stake in our politics.